Have you ever read the parable of the talents in Matthew 25 and felt freaked out by that? Like, whoa, if I don't do enough for God, maybe I'll be cast into outer darkness where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. So let's talk about that, because Jesus is not, he's not talking about losing your salvation. In this story, a master entrusts talents, which are huge sums of money, to his servants. Two of them trust what they've been given and they multiply it. One hides it in the ground because he's afraid, and he sees the master as being a harsh master. But when the master returns, the first two are rewarded with joy and more responsibility, and the last one misses out. So here's where people get scared. The master says to cast the unfaithful servant into outer darkness where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. But outer darkness is not a picture of hellfire. In Matthew, it's always contrasted with entering the banquet or the kingdom celebration. In other words, it's the sorrow of being outside the party. It's like missing out on the joy and the reward that could have been yours. Weeping and gnashing is Jewish language for deep regret and anguish, like the pain of realizing that you forfeited something really, really valuable. So Jesus isn't describing believers losing salvation. He's describing the reality that some will waste what he's entrusted to them. They'll waste their purpose, their calling. They'll still be saved, but they'll suffer loss of the inheritance here on earth and also their eternal rewards. But Paul says the same thing in 1 Corinthians 3. Some will be saved, but as through fire, with their works burned up. So what's that mean for us? The talents represent what God entrusts, his grace, his word, his spirit, his purpose in your life. When you trust him and you walk in what he's given, you step into kingdom joy right now, and you get eternal rewards later. But if you bury it in fear, mistrust, or wrong views of God, etc., you rob yourself of the abundant life that he intended for you. That's the outer darkness, living outside of the joy you could have known in this life, and facing the eternal regret of realizing how much more there was that you missed out on. The parable of the talent is not a threat to keep believers in fear. It's an invitation to trust the Father's heart, walk in what he's given, and enter the joy of his kingdom right now in this life. Salvation is secure in Christ, but your inheritance here and now and the reward are worth stepping into today.